Hello and welcome everyone. Thanks for joining this webinar today, which is getting NDC ready for our corporate customers. It's great to see the attendance that we have. Appreciate this is a hot topic of the moment. So we're here today to really get into some of those details and help you prepare best as possible for our upcoming implementation for American Airlines. So a quick introduction. My name's Mark Shepherd and I head up our NDC product management organization here at Sabre. And look, before we get started, we always like to go through just a couple of housekeeping rules. So our goal today is really to help you all understand our approach to NDC. Really lean in and focus on the April 3rd implementation, where we're going to have American Airlines NDC content distributed through the Sabre marketplace. What's important is that we won't be able to discuss any commercial items and topics today. So I think that's pretty standard practice. And then answering to your questions. So when you registered, there was an opportunity to submit some questions. We've consolidated those. So we'll tackle those as we go through the end of the presentation. There will likely be some time at the end as well. We'll open up for some live Q&A once we've gone through those too. So we've kept the chat disabled for this portion of the presentation. We get some feedback that it's quite distracting to have lots of chat backwards and forwards as we go through the deck. So look out for that opening as we get to the end of the content and we open up the Q&A. Okay, so our time today. So my colleague Brett Dowling and I are going to share some information to help you prepare for NDC, which includes the upcoming launch of NDC offers for American Airlines in a GDS marketplace. So whilst we are looking at it through the lens of American Airlines, it's important to note that actually the subject matter is pretty universal, and it really applies to all NDC content that's either in or about to be in the Sabre marketplace in the imminent future. So we'll start off with a bit of an NDC 101. Look, we recognise that we've got quite a few people joining today, and people are quite often on different places in their NDC journey. So it's just always a good point to just to level set, you know, what is fundamentally NDC, and then we'll go into NDC at Sabre. We'll look at our approach to NDC, and we'll look at some key considerations for corporations. Brett's going to walk us through GetThere in particular and how GetThere have realized NDC content, and then we'll talk more about the AA NDC launch in particular, and again following on that, considerations for corporations, other considerations that your partners may need to make in order to be up and ready as well. And then we're going to the Q&A, and as mentioned, we've got some pre-compiled Q&A based on all your submissions, but then we'll open up to some live Q&A should time permit, which I think it will. So NDC 101, what is NDC? We won't spend much time here because I'm pretty sure you're attending this webinar because you already know plenty about NDC. But in principle, despite NDC being around for a while, people are on different points in their NDC journey. So let's just call out that NDC, new distribution capability, is an industry initiative to evolve airline distribution technology standards. So it's a technology standard, and it's specifically the move from today's EDIFACT communication protocols to a more modern XML-based communication protocol. So SOAP XML, web-based APIs. Now, SOAP XML, although more modern, it's been around for, it's very, very mature. But that's where the industry has landed in terms of where the NDC standards kind of are at the moment. It's a SOAP XML based communication protocol, and the purpose overall is really to improve the retailing experience across third parties. So, and existing EDIFACT connectivity just comes with a lot of constraints. You cannot expand upon what it does very easily, and XML allows that freedom to expand message structures, include other types of content that needs to be included to help enrich that retailing experience. So the whole purpose of NDC is all about the retailing experience. So we know that airlines are building out retailing capabilities via their direct sales channels, and really the motivation is the ability to replicate those retailing capabilities across the indirect channels as well. So, and airlines want to be able to provide differentiation, be able to market their product how they'd like their product to be marketed, and they have the freedom and flexibility on their own direct channel platforms such as their .coms, and they want to be able to do the same via the indirect channel to make sure that they can differentiate their product. It's not boiled down to a commoditized kind of offering, that they're able to inject, you know, some personalization and some differentiation around their branding, around their brand, around the products they're trying to sell. That's the intent of NDC, to create that symmetry across channels, so that retailing experience is consistent across both the direct and indirect channels. Now, of course, it's really rooted in the airline industry, NDC, because that's where the standards have been conceived. But the promise of NDC does lead us into additional value throughout the ecosystem. And so, from a corporation perspective, this as we move towards a modern retailing environment, you know, hopefully we can start to see an opportunity where corporations like yourselves are able to work with airlines and negotiate with airlines, you know, unique and differentiated products that you're able to put forward to your travelers, and to be able to meet your objectives of your travel program by encouraging travelers to pursue a certain product between a certain origin and destination, and that may have additional attributes included as standards, the ability to negotiate, you know, priority boarding or lounge access, or whatever other attributes that come to life in the future. Now, I think that the industry is working towards that end. We're on that maturity curve. I don't think we see that just yet, but the promise of NDC and the platforms that it's built upon will enable that moving forward. That's what the industry is waiting for. That's what the promise of NDC will hopefully bring to the industry. Okay, so let's move on to bringing NDC to life. So look, bringing NDC to life requires coordination across multiple stakeholders. There's not one of these constituents in the ecosystem has all the answers. If Sabre's ready, it doesn't matter to you as a corporation unless your TMC and your OBT is also ready. So it's really important that we operate across the entire ecosystem, and we advocate and support the growth and expansion of NDC throughout the entire ecosystem. Because if you don't unlock all the constituents, you're not going to be able to scale, and you're not going to be able to consume all the content that you're looking to consume via NDC. And Sabre is well positioned in that space. We do engage across all constituents. Some of you may be participants in our NDC Customer Advisory Board, where we bring all of our constituents together in one room. And we talk about the difficult topics that the NDC raises, and we work towards moving the industry further along and solving some of these complex issues. So that's our role in the industry, and that's what we pride ourselves on doing, and ultimately ensuring all these constituents are available, are ready with NDC is vitally important to unlock scale. So from your perspective, it's your online booking tool, it's your TMC, and it's your TMC's partners, including Sabre as a GDS, but it's mid-office tools, it's back-office tools, it's their workflow processes at the front end. We work very hard with our TMCs to help ensure that they understand the lift involved on their side to be able to stand up NDC within their enterprise. And similarly with online booking tools, and Brett's going to talk about Get There, but as much as we love Get There, and Get There is obviously the online booking tool of choice, we know there are other online booking tools out in the ecosystem, and we also work very closely with them to make sure they understand, again, what it means to be consuming NDC's Sabre's NDC product. Okay, so NDC at Sabre. So we consider NDC as a core priority. we have actually lent into NDC and the models that NDC bring really heavily. So NDC brings a new offer and order construct and model to our industry, and it's more aligned to an experience we see in other retailing modern retailing environments. And so we actually take a look at that offer and order model, and we look at how NDC is laying a foundation for Sabre to bring in that offer and order model that will build the foundations of future Sabre. So we are all in on supporting NDC in the offer and order model, because we see it as foundational for what we want to do in the future, whether it be multi-source capabilities, so NDC being a supply source. There may be other supply sources that we're able to bring in under this construct of offer and order that really helps expand our marketplace and provide some really interesting capabilities and content in the future. And so look, we have a good footprint of countries that are active with NDC already at Sabre. We have thousands of agency locations active and consuming our NDC capabilities, which are recognized via IATA's Airline Retailing Maturity Index. So that's the ARM index. And those that have been around NDC for some time will know that IATA have actually moved on from the original sets of certifications, so level 1, level 2, level 3, which really centered around can you process an NDC message structure. It didn't really talk about the capabilities beyond that. And so the actual, the retailing index is actually a really positive move forward, because we start moving beyond specifications and we start talking about actual experiences and capabilities, which is a really positive thing. We have a healthy pipeline of airlines engaged with Sabre that they're all looking to put their NDC content through the Sabre marketplace, which is fantastic. And if we look at how going back to all the constituents within value chain, again, we're really well positioned to help you adopt NDC, because we work with all these constituents. And the way we bring NDC to fruition is that Sabre's an API-led development shop, so we will bring our capabilities out through our APIs first, and our own products such as Sabre 360 and Get There are kind of like a customer zero, and they start to work against our APIs. But as we bring APIs out to the market, we don't limit that exposure to our own products. They're actually there, ready and available for any of our API consumers to start working against at the same time. So what that does, it really helps reduce the daylight between Sabre products being ready and third-party products being ready. Now, do all of our third-party customers take full advantage of that and jump on them as soon as they're available? No, we're working very hard to keep promoting the readiness of our APIs and encourage third parties to start investing and integrating with those APIs. But as we move forward, we'll find that gap shrinking significantly. And as we release capabilities within Sabre Red 360 and within Get There, you'll see them also being realized, I believe, in other third parties and other constituents within the ecosystem at the same time. So when we talk about corporations and offering in that space, it's clearly Get There. So we've got a very, very quick video that I'll show, and then after that, Brett's going to walk through some of the capabilities that you saw on screen. And Brett, if you don't know Brett, he's our product leader over our Get There product.
NDC is expanding access to more personalized travel options and information to help keep businesses moving with confidence. Corporate travelers can now shop and book NDC content using Sabre's online booking tool, Get There. To get started, the corporate traveler logs into Get There as normal, indicates the reason for travel, enters trip details, and searches for flights. NDC offers appear seamlessly alongside traditional content in the search results. All offers displayed comply with the corporation's travel policies. Over time, searching and paying for ancillaries such as seats will also be incorporated into NDC offers and Get There. Upon manager approval, the traveler can view booking details on the confirmation page, including the passenger name record and the NDC order ID, which identifies an NDC booking. Meanwhile, integration with Sabre Red 360 allows corporate travel consultants to fulfill NDC bookings made in Get There. Travel consultants can retrieve a Get There NDC booking in Sabre Red 360 and use the workflow menu to fulfill the order in a few clicks. The consultant's workflows are maintained to optimize convenience and efficiency. Sabre integrates with mid-back office solutions from multiple partners for financial settlement and reporting processes. We are going beyond NDC by seamlessly enabling the end-to-end shopping, booking, and fulfillment of NDC offers across Get There and Sabre Red 360, so you can focus on your business. It's all part of our plan to support dynamic offers and to create the leading marketplace for personalized travel. To learn more, go beyond NDC at sabre.com/NDC.
Okay, so over to you, Brett.
Good stuff. Hello, everyone. My name is Brett Dowling, and as Mark mentioned, I'm the product leader for Get There, Sabre's online booking tool. So in the OBT space, Get There has been an NDC first mover, having gone live with NDC offers actually in November of 2021. So a couple of things to point out that you just saw in the demo. We've optimized our display so that NDC offers appear alongside traditional types of content. So there's no need for a traveler to learn new steps to search and book trips. And choosing to enable NDC and Get There does not restrict the user to which content sources they'll have access to. We've learned that travelers don't really care about the content source. They just want to see the relevant options that fit the parameters within company policy. And this is how we've approached our integration with NDC. There are a couple of key elements, to point out. Again, so travelers really can't distinguish between source of content, but there are some NDC specific things that will come through in the display, particularly around booking confirmation where the order ID comes through. You can book either NDC or AT-Pico Air, plus hotel and car segments in this kind of single shopping and booking flow. Here, you get a sense of the NDC capabilities Get There currently supports, as represented in the demo video that you've just seen. I think the main point to call out here is, again, our ability for users to shop and book travel policy evaluated NDC offers in a single experience. Get There's travel policy engine does not distinguish between fair source. So we're still able to do things like understand or flag a basic economy, for example, as out of policy, or suppress that content completely from the display. Some key developments in 2023, in addition to what's available today off the shelf, include really two key things. NDC content integrated into Get There's new air shopping displays. This is cabin-based and fare-based displays. And the ability for users to shop and book a mix of AT-Pico, Edifact, and NDC content in a single booking flow. So Get There consumes, again, Sabre's NDC APIs. So as content goes live in Sabre, this content automatically flows through into Get There when the Get There sites are enabled for NDC. As new functionality is released by our Sabre NDC team, and when that's relevant to the corporate channel, Get There's roadmap will typically fast follow with a 3 to 9 month time frame, depending on the scope and complexity to enable those new capabilities. Moving on, Mark. Last piece, enabling NDC and Get There is quite simple. If a PCC is activated in Sabre to enable the NDC content in a Get There site, it's just the flip of a switch in our site admin console, where additional logic may be defined around tie logic. So when this allows you to define which fare source to display when a fare with the same brand is present in both ATPico and NDC, but at a different price point or fare amount, or which fare source to display when a fare is present in both channels at the same price. So similar
Okay, thanks,
to get
Brett.
there.
Oh, sorry.
Yep.
Go on.
We've also worked to standardize Sabre Red 360 displays to showcase NDC alongside other options. So we'll take you to another brief video that demonstrates how NDC offers are shopped, booked, and serviced in Sabre Red 360.
Thanks, Brett.
When you travel beyond the standard of NDC, the possibilities are limitless, which is why you need a complete view of the landscape. Every flight, every add-on, every option. With Sabre, it's a view you can only get with Sabre Red 360, your ticket to NDC offers. To get started, use the air shopping path and then add the journey details to access a world of content in one easy-to-follow display. Our air shopping path is fully API enabled, so it pulls from multiple sources of information at once, including traditional low-cost carrier and NDC offers. And it's all presented in a single display for efficient comparison shopping. With Sabre Red 360, availability and fares appear in a familiar workflow while clearly depicting the content source. In this case, it is an NDC offer. Open the panel to see more information about the flight. Then click Select to offer more specific details. Details such as the offer time limit, taxes, fees, and baggage information come straight from the supplier. After adding the traveler data, click to create the order. The order request is then sent to the airline. Once accepted, you'll receive a confirmation with a unique order ID, which is displayed on the header of the graphical PNR. Here, you'll see the Sabre Passenger Name Record, or PNR, airline locator, and order ID, as well as the itinerary, ticketing time limit, and pricing information. Ready to book seats? You'll see the seat map with a legend available to the left of the screen. Make your seat selection per segment, and then save the information to your order. For fulfillment, use the workflow menu and click Fulfill Order. Add the payment information to secure the order before the order expires. You'll receive a confirmation response on screen indicating the order has been successfully fulfilled. But what happens if plans change after order fulfillment? No problem. Refunds are easy to process with a user-friendly workflow menu. Simply access the relevant booking, open the Cancel Ticket workflow, and follow the on-screen instructions to refund the order. Need to make an exchange? Access the Exchange Shop NDC workflow and mark each part of the itinerary as Keep or Exchange. Add the new date, and then select Shop Airfare. Choose the desired fare and press Exchange Order. After exchanging, remember to fulfill the order using the Fulfill Order workflow. That's it, just a few simple steps. You will expand content access, enhance productivity, and add profitability to your bottom line, while delivering the exact experience your travelers want every time. Get your ticket to booking NDC offers today. Explore beyond the NDC standards at sabre.com/NDC.
Okay. So NDC and AA NDC launch capabilities here at Sabre. So first point to mention is that each NDC implementation is slightly different from the next. So you've all heard about NDC as a standard, and that would be great in practice. But actually, what we see is implementations varying considerably. So the NDC schemas and definitions are really more of a guide at this point. And there isn't a great deal of adherence to the structure. There's lots of variation to suit a particular airline's implementation requirements. So some capabilities vary airline by airline. So I just will state that before going through what we have for American Airlines upon launch. So first thing, we've had a very extensive pilot ongoing with American Airlines with about 50 customers, and that's gone from January all the way up till now. And so in terms of the capability set, we've got the shopping, pricing, book pay, cancel, prepay, the schedule changes, the void, refund, some of the things you saw in the demo, voluntary exchanges, cancel ticket and retain value. We've just literally released that, ready for the launch. So this is where you'll be able to cancel that ticket and retain the value on the airline side for future use. And seat capabilities. AOC and multi-packs, multi-adult section there. We have an investment plan that talks around beyond single passenger, and so we have multi-packs, adult passenger type through to the schedule change process. We're building out, starting second quarter, a lot of additional multi-packs work, not necessarily applicable for the corporate travel space. I don't think is as much of a priority, but it's important for those travelers that want to travel together on the same booking. And we have a very near-term trajectory to rounding off those capabilities that includes multi-adult servicing capabilities, but also bringing on adults, childs, and infants, and those capabilities as well throughout 2Q and into 3Q. Some considerations for our corporate travel managers and corporate travelers. So look, first of all, it's important to recognize that we realize the transition to NDC is going to involve a lot of change. But let's not forget the industry has gone through major changes before, and change is not always a bad thing. But we all remember the paper ticket transition to e-tickets. But also we appreciate that as a corporation, you're balancing lots of different priorities. You've got duty of care requirements, cost requirements, corporate policy adherence to be concerned about, and also creating experiences that your employees want when they're traveling. So fundamentally, we're here to help you navigate all of that. And I think our design and approach to NDC really helps reduce the friction in the transition, but we also want to be absolutely transparent around some of the things that do need to be considered when we start looking to implementing or onboarding NDC. So some key things from a corporation perspective just to keep in mind. Make sure you're establishing your perspective on NDC and the value that it could unlock, and the readiness of yourself and your partners, and lead and talk to partners about their NDC plans. Are there commercial implications? Are there roadmaps that lead to bringing NDC to a point of viability for you? What's the content? What's the capabilities? What's the market applicability? And are there revised SLAs or considerations around SLAs that need to be talked about in order to have the full picture around NDC implementation? Preparing for change. It's a new content source. Processes do get disrupted with the new content source. With NDC, airlines are creating real-time offers, so you need to think around: do we need to re-baseline some of the key prerequisites we've had in the past? So this is not NDC is not about inventory-led processes. You don't sell an inventory, you don't sell an itinerary and then price it and try to rework that pricing or baseline that pricing against other pricing qualifiers. NDC is all about a shopping-led environment. It's about an offer-led environment. So what's the lowest logical fare in an NDC space? Again, we're creating real-time offers from the airline, and airlines are introducing things like continuous pricing. There is not necessarily a baseline of lowest logical that's fixed and has this certain criteria that's going to get blurred over time as airlines really lean into the modern retailing experience that NDC will offer them. Think about what if. Brainstorm with partners about new offers based on your travel needs. So does this open up a key opportunity to talk to partners about inclusions and new offers and new exclusive offers that can be made between your partnerships? NDC and the retailing experience around NDC leans into that environment. get your feet wet, get testing NDC, piloting NDC, get familiar with it, and that helps put a lot of this stuff into context. It helps, I think, also alleviate a lot of anxiety around it just by getting some hands-on experience with NDC, and really helping teams understand, you know, the what, why, and how of NDC to enable that learning curve of all team members involved. And look, we're all about optimism and realism with NDC. Now we're really optimistic and we're really invested in the success of NDC, and this is why we kind of bring the reality into it as well, because we absolutely want this to work. I mentioned earlier that we are using the foundations of NDC as the future state of Sabre, and NDC really underpins at least 3 of our key imperatives when we look at our multi-year outlook and what we want to try and achieve as a provider moving forward. And so it's imperative that NDC is successful, and I think you have to look at it through the lens of some realism in order to drive it forward. So look, there are things to consider. Your partners are going to go through a transitory phase as they adjust to the new world of NDC. So just some very simple but quite disruptive considerations include things like cryptic commands will no longer apply into an NDC PNR. So you can display the PNR itself, and the NDC segments will exist in the PNR, but you can't interact with the NDC itinerary through cryptic commands. We have offer and order APIs that are wrapped around our order management system, and actually our order management system is really the placeholder and the source of truth from a Sabre perspective of that NDC order. And this is part of our future state as we transition into offers and orders. The order management system becomes the repository of all order content moving forward. Now, of course, the PNR is still really, really important because that's how all of our customers interact with Sabre. They used to see in the PNR, but that in itself now is also just a construct of API data. So what our TMC users see in Sabre 360, and you would heard the term green screen or classic Sabre, that's all structured data rendered to look like historical environments to replicate, you know, green screen is underneath. It's not green screen at all. So we're taking the opportunity, and because we're moving because NDC is a standard to move away from Edifact through SOAP XML, you have to limit that format exposure, because that format exposure triggers Edifact messages to suppliers, and it just there's no conduit for that in the NDC space. So you have to interact with an NDC itinerary through our order management APIs, and that's moving from a classic environment, cryptic environment, to a graphical user interface. Sounds really straightforward, but we do not underestimate how challenging that can be for our agency customers. So we're helping them navigate through that. We offer them a whole load of different options as it pertains to training, whether that be self-paced, instructor-led training. But that transition is not easy for users that really value that cryptic command knowledge. But the future is the graphical workflow and the graphical user interface. So that transition has to happen, and we will see content flowing through both pipelines for the foreseeable future. So we don't have airlines coming on and saying, hey, I'm all in on NDC, therefore it's all coming out of the traditional channel. What you have is a side-by-side environment, and this kind of leads into the schedule-led and shopping-led workflow comparison, is because you're still going to have AA content schedules in the system. You still be able to do an availability and sell your AA itinerary, and you'll still be able to price it. But if you want access to all of the fares that are on offer that AA are offering, it will only be available via the shopping-led path, because AA's announcement explains that up to 40% of content that's available today will be made exclusive to their NDC product, and the only way to get access to all that content is via the NDC workflow, which is via the shopping-led workflow via our graphical environment. So all best intentions in the world, if an agency is wanting to sell 100% NDC, if their user base is not on board or not able to transition from the traditional way of working to the new way of working, there's going to be leakage, and they're not going to get full adoption and meet their goals to consume 100% NDC. So those are the types of things we work really hard to ensure your partners are ready for the change. It's a progress. It's a process, and we're making good progress, and they're making great progress. But if you look at the way Sabre 360, you saw the design, you saw the video. I think once we put that in front, once our agents get in front of it, a lot of the anxiety starts to dissipate, because it's a very intuitive workflow, and things like servicing, refunds, exchanges are actually even more intuitive, because in fact the airline really constructs those responses. They construct whether it's changeable, they construct what the ad collection is, or etc. So there's no computation required up front. We send a message to the airline, can I refund this, yes or no? Yes, you can, and here's how much you're going to get refunded, here's maybe some taxes that aren't going to get refunded, etc. So it's on. You would have saw our marketing campaign launched yesterday around NDC and American Airlines. So let's talk about that just a little bit more, what we can expect. So let's go back to December, and I referenced this just a second ago, that the American Airlines put their distribution strategy out in the marketplace that really informed the market that up to 40% of their content will be made exclusive to their NDC product. And so it's not necessarily clear what the full extent of that is, what that 40% or up to 40% truly represents. I know we're doing some work to try and establish some insights into that, but again, we encourage conversations to be had between yourselves and American Airlines to try and also sort of quantify what it means to you based on what you consume and what is sold on your behalf by your agencies typically. Now, what American Airlines did do in an act of transparency is file all of the NDC fares via ATP code with a new qualifier that indicates that it's an NDC fare. They're restricted from being consumed from a pricing, shopping, and ticketing perspective within the GDS, but you can see them within a fare quote. So that was really to enable AA's customers to be able to go and do some analysis and determine, hey, what content may or may not be in the traditional path come April 3rd. So we have some team members looking at that. That fare filing kind of happened over the weekend, but it's not going to be static. I mean, it will evolve. We believe there'll be a little bit of test and learn around what's working, what's not working, but it is there filed, and we're trying to get some draw some conclusions around what that looks like in the near term. But again, it's not going to stay the same. It will continue to change based on AA's objectives. And before we jump into the Q&A, just a quick recap. So April 3rd, we're going to launch AA NDC content. It's going to be available via our APIs. That's our first point of call. Everything we do is enabled via APIs first. Sabre 360's ready, and we've had airlines deployed on Sabre for a long time now. NDC connected airlines, and Sabre 360's been consuming those. Get There's been consuming those. Brett mentioned Get There has had a product since 2021. So the products are out in the marketplace. We're well positioned to launch American Airlines NDC content on March 3rd. And that's in addition to the airlines already in production. So we launched Finnair just a couple of weeks ago. They were our latest addition. We have the Avianca group, which consists of 4 airlines: Qantas, Qatar Airways, Singapore Airlines, and a healthy pipeline of airlines all wanting to distribute their content for the Sabre marketplace. Real-time offers with NDC, so there's no published fares. So there's no, we don't construct the pricing on the Sabre side. The offers come directly from the airline. And really, it's important to talk to your partners about their NDC readiness. because you can only unlock so much if all constituents are in different states of readiness. You're kind of going to be constrained by the lowest common denominator along that chain. So really important to talk to your partners about where they are. So let's turn to your questions. So I know you all had an opportunity to register some questions when joining the webinar or signing up for the webinar. So we've reviewed the most frequent ones and we've consolidated them and put them together, and I think we'll open up the Q&A as well towards the end here and make sure we get some live questions. So question number one, what points of sale are enabled? So I'll offer and order APIs, Sabre 360 and Get There. I think we covered that plenty in the conversation so far. Can NDC and non-NDC content be combined in the same PNR? So from a Sabre API and Sabre 360 perspective, the answer is yes. You can have NDC content with any other content within the PNR, whether that's EDIFACT air content, so traditional air content, or hotel, car, rail, other content sources can all go in the same PNR. For Get There, as Brett mentioned, it's on their roadmap targeted for third quarter of this year. How does my corporation activate NDC? So really you want to talk to your TMC partners about their plans, and they then request access through Sabre Central Marketplace. So there's an ordering process, and we've gone through several webinars focused on our agency community, and we've put a lot of information out there about how to get connected, what the process is, so they should be all fully aware of what needs to happen. But Sabre Central Marketplace is the place to go to get access. And then to enable Get There, it's really a conversation with your Get There representative to ensure that that's all enabled as well for you. How does my TMC partner activate NDC through Sabre? So extension of the first question, Sabre Central Marketplace. So it's all about adding the PCCs that they want to be activated within the Sabre Central Marketplace, and then those activations occur. So there's one additional step listed on the bottom, which is the tie condition requirement. And Brett talked about this in the context of Get There, but outside of Get There within Sabre 360, we also insist as part of the ordering process. You know, what do you want to do in the scenario where you've got the same product, the same offer from multiple sources, and we give our agencies the choice to decide, actually the traditional path is better for me, or actually the NDC path is better for me. I would choose, if both things are the same, to go this way versus the other way. Can I activate NDC for all PCCs globally? No, and the reason for that is airlines aren't activating typically across the board in one hit. They typically go through phases of launch. AA is a bit of an exception to the rule here. They've kind of gone all in, but most airlines will take a market by market approach, or a set of markets by market approach. And we also want to ensure that there's the flexibility for our customers to choose, you know, what markets they want to enable when. So not currently. And for the AA launch, though, what we are doing for customers that have a large scale of PCCs, we have a bulk ordering process where they can submit, you know, all the PCCs they want to be enabled. We'll run them into the system, and we'll get them processed in one hit. Once requested through Sabre Central Marketplace, all of the ordering is automated on the back end, and it takes about 2 hours for that process to complete, and then access is then available for our TMC customers, and therefore yourselves, to have access through your TMC. Will NDC GDS content come back in HK or GK segment? So it is a HK status segment, but the segment type is different. It's not a traditional air segment, because if you go back to the premise of we are moving from teletype messaging and EDIFACT messaging over to SOAP XML messaging, a traditional air segment will want to drive EDIFACT messages underneath it, and then just doesn't work with an NDC environment. So it's a new segment type, but it is HK. It looks and feels like an air segment, live air segment, but how you interact with it, as mentioned before, it has to be via order management APIs, which is via the graphical workflow within Sabre 360. That's how those order management APIs have been consumed within 360, or Get There as an API-based product anyway. So any manipulation would be done within Get There, and that's how that's done. How often does Sabre update its NDC roadmap? So we have a quarterly roadmap. So we have a rolling 4-quarter view of what we want to achieve over the next 4 quarters, and then every quarter we go through a planning exercise, and we get commitment from our development organization around what we're going to actually deliver within that quarter. So as quarterly, it gives us the flexibility to pivot based on business needs and priorities. We're in a pretty dynamic environment at the moment, so having that flexibility to pivot and move things around on a regular basis is really important. So we put roadmaps out there that do have that longer term view. There's lots of caveats around it to say, hey, look, this is where we are in this point in time. This is what we're heading towards, our objectives and goals. But they can change, of course, based on the business priorities that we come across on a day-to-day basis. So quarterly is the right balance to accommodate that. And if you've not seen our roadmap, then you can talk to your account rep around our latest roadmap and as it goes out through the rest of this year. Can SSRs, so wheelchairs, meals, passenger contact info, be added after the time of booking? So we currently support the addition and deletion of passenger contact info and secure flight passenger details. We do not support non-chargeable services, so wheelchairs and things like that. So those SSR type features. So we do have something on our plan for 3rd quarter, which is really driven within our partnership with American Airlines. They have taken an approach where they want to continue with the SSR model. So NDC actually looks at this differently. SSRs are kind of a traditional kind of construct and terminology, and in NDC we actually have something called service list, which is around how to consume ancillary products. So we're doing the SSR work, but we're going to do it in a way that our customers really just see this service list kind of product and capability. So it will be blended into one, but that's probably a little more detail than what you're looking for. But 3rd quarter is where we have some of that capability released. How long are NDC offers valid? So pretty much for 20 minutes. So after creating so the offer there's a couple of time limits. So offers are like typically 20 minutes, and then after creating the order, you have a ticketing time limit, right? And the airline also then says, here's the ticketing time limit on that particular order. If the ticket time limit expires and the order cancels and the airline cancels an order, is the order updated in the Sabre PNR or the graphical PNR? So here's what we expect, and this is what we see happening. In NDC, there's a notion of order change notification message. So this is abbreviated to OCN. So you'll hear the term OCN being talked around in the context of NDC. Now, an OCN message is a proactive notification that gets driven by an airline to Sabre and other aggregators that says, hey, something's changed. We receive that OCN message and we pick it up, and we then synchronize our order management system with the order on the airline system, and then we're able to determine what's changed between those orders. And in the case of a cancellation driven by the airline, what we'll see is that the itinerary is now cancelled. We'll cancel the itinerary out of the face of the PNR, and ultimately those segments will then be pushed into PNR history. So the answer is yes, we will process that if the airline cancels the order. It's all on the proviso that the airline sends us that order change notification message for us to react and respond to. Do you support shopping for mixed bins, business class and outbound, and economy on the return? So great question, but ultimately it comes back to the point of offers are constructed in real time by the airline, so it's really dependent upon what the airline offer is going to look like. So they may or may not return mixed cabin offers. So it's hard to say yes or no, because it's really going to be airline policy dependent on what they choose to offer for that particular set of criteria. Are frequent flyer numbers for other carriers supported? For example, if shopping airline A, can a frequent flyer number for airline B supported? So they can be used in that way, but unfortunately we don't see airlines supporting that at this point in time. So we can pass it through our implementation, but we don't see the airlines actively doing anything with that frequent flyer number if it's not their own frequent flyer number. Can an unused ticket credit be applied to an NDC order? So this is something on our roadmap. So this is something we have already written up and ready to be started work on. I mentioned earlier that we recently delivered the ability to cancel and retain the value of a ticket, and this is the continuation of that, is then using that value for a new NDC order, and that's something we've got in our plan. Forget there, users may request to apply unused tickets regardless of fare source. Once supporting Sabre's NDC API, this would be supported for NDC fares. So yeah, it's really, I think, Get There doesn't actually do the fulfillment on itself anyway. So it's ultimately dependent upon that capability being offered through our APIs, and then that capability will then be exposed to agencies using 360 that are doing those fulfillment transactions. If a change to the order is performed directly with the carrier, will that change be reflected on the Sabre order and PNR? So not currently. So at the moment, I talked about the OCN messages, and we get them under certain conditions, and we get them really for schedule changes, so changes in the itinerary, and we process that, and schedule changes are in place, and we drop those on queues for our agencies to review. But we do have a capability on our 2023 roadmap which enables us to extend that. So should an airline provide us an OCN that doesn't pertain to a change in the itinerary, but could be for any other reason. It could be, hey, a segment, a seat status code has changed. You've requested it, we couldn't confirm it, but now we've confirmed it. We're going to send you an OCN. Then we will make sure that all of those components are in sync within our order management system. So that's something we're doing this year as well. Again, it's all on the proviso that actually airlines are sending those OCN messages outwards, so that we know to go and sync. We think we're advocating for this methodology in the industry. We think this is the way it should work. This is the way notifications should be pushed out, or how changes should be reflected. There is a narrative in the industry that says, hey, just come and ask me if something's changed, and in the best interests of our airline partners, we don't think that's the right thing to do. I think we end up seeing robotics that just continually poll an airline's order management system and says, has something changed, has something changed, and we don't think that's good for anybody. So we really want this to be implemented and proactive notifications to be put in place. So when a change occurs, tell us about it. We'll sync everything up and make sure the order reflects that change on our side. Can seats be added after time of booking? For Sabre APIs and Sabre 360, yes, seats are supported. And forget there, not currently. It's part of their forecasted plan, likely an early 2024 item. Can I inhibit or block basic economy fares from being returned in shopping results? So no, not currently from an API and Sabre 360 perspective. And it's an interesting one because we do offer fare focus capabilities at Sabre that enable that level of configuration. Now, what we are looking at is, can we apply that to the result set that comes back from NDC, and basically upon receiving it, strip out offers that don't make sense. Now, and that's something we can do. That's in our control, and we'll pursue that line of inquiry. But ultimately, I think it really leans into this modern retailing discussion. And I think is there value in constructing offers that you know will get thrown on the floor back to a consumer. So if I'm a cruise line and all my customers are going to check a bag, why would I ever want to see a hand baggage only fare? I, as an airline, know that customer. I know that they will never sell that product. Why would I present it only for it to be thrown on the floor? And let's say that's 25% of the offers I'm sending through, because you're only going to be able to send a finite amount of offers through. Why wouldn't I not actually replace that with high value content that is going to add value across the whole community? So I think there's some maturity to happen around that modern retailing aspect. But the short answer is no from a Sabre API perspective at the moment. But GetThere's travel policy engine does have some capabilities to at least flag and work that through from a GetThere perspective under the policy controls. How are NDC bookings fulfilled? Basically, they're fulfilled on the airline side. We make the request to say fulfill the order. They fulfill the order, send back ticket number, etc. Is Sabre reporting on NDC fulfilled transactions? We do not report to any settlement systems because the ticket is not issued within Sabre, it's issued within the airline. So the airline is the ones now reporting that to the settlement systems. And if they're using neutral stock, that's an obligation for them to do that. If they're using airline stock, then that reporting is really optional because it's not mandated that they have to do it. What happens there if there's a residual amount after performing a reshop, NDC order and exchange? If the amounts of the old ticket and the new ticket generate a residual value and EMD is generated upon fulfillment, the EMD will appear in the ticketing section of the graphical PNR. This EMD can be used for future travel with the airline. It cannot be refunded or exchanged against a new ticket. And then some resources that helps get ready. We have lots of training for our agency customers. The microsite is a great place to check in every once in a while. It's where we keep everything up to date about what's happening at Sabre and NDC. GetThere, of course, we want to learn more about GetThere and GetThere's readiness and capabilities. Encourage you to talk to your account reps about how you might want to be able to use GetThere to support AA's launch. And not long after AA, we have United Airlines planned to come on board as well, literally a week or so afterwards. So we've got two major North America carriers coming on board in the space of 1 to 2 weeks. So that's really exciting stuff. So and GetThere's ready to roll with that, with consuming that content. And with that, I think I've blown through all the time, so I do apologize. I was hoping we'd have a bit of Q&A, live Q&A at the end. Is there anything, Avery, in the chat we want to tackle, like one or two? I know we're over time, which is a bit unfortunate, and my poor timekeeping skills have led us to this state. So
no, you're fine. Yeah, so let me take a look here. I think we have time for maybe one question. Okay, here we go. So if an order is not fulfilled in the 20-minute time frame, will the segments return HX or some other status?
So the order fulfillment is not 20 minutes. So the time to live on the offer is 20 minutes. So think about it, you're shopping, the airline presents an offer, and you go through and say, that's the offer I'm looking for. You then go into what's called an offer price step, and that's an extra level of I'm now confirming that offer is now available to me. And when the airline confirms that offer is available to you, they say it's available to you for 20 minutes. So within that 20 minutes, you need to convert that into an order. And then once you've converted it into an order, your ticketing time limit is 48 hours or such. That's really dependent on what the airline's decided. So no, from an offer doesn't even create segments to go into an HX status. But if an order isn't complete, if an order isn't fulfilled within the ticketing time limit, it goes into that scenario where it's auto cancelled on the airline side, and then we will expect that OCN message to come through to say this was unfulfilled, and then it's been cancelled, and we'll go through that. Now, additionally to that, there's also a price guarantee step before the ticketing time limit expires. So we also have a reprice functionality that's come into play that reprices that order, and when you reprice that order, it keeps that price guarantee alive as well. So yeah, if the order is cancelled by the airline, we'll expect an OCM message, and then that will flag a change in the itinerary, and we will reflect that change. And if the itinerary is cancelled, we'll cancel it on the Sabre side as well.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Mark. We are right at 11, so if you want to go ahead and wrap up.
Yeah, well, look, thank you for your time. Please complete the feedback survey. It will enable access to some of the content you saw today. Talk to all your partners, talk to your TMC partners, talk to your corporate booking tool providers, understand their trajectory in terms of being ready for NDC. If you're on Get There, activate NDC and Get There. Probably want to talk to your partners about their readiness first, but yeah, activate NDC and Get There. They're available. It's mature. It's been there since 2021, as Brett was saying. And if you have any more questions around how could you possibly apply Get There or use Get There to enable to be ready for NDC as soon as possible, then I know Brett would be more than happy to talk to you more about that, as would your account rep. So the last thing is the Sabre microsite, as mentioned, great place to go to keep up to speed on all things NDC related here at Sabre. So with that, I wish you a great rest of the day, and thank you very much for all of your time today. Thank you.